Welcome along to the Academy Stadium for Manchester City versus Leicester City. A huge game at both ends of the table. The home side need to win to keep the pressure right on Manchester United, their arch rivals, in the race for that third and final Champions League spot. As for Leicester City, well, if Birmingham City had lost yesterday to Brighton and the Foxes had managed a surprising win in this game we're about to watch, they'd have survival secured for the season. As it is, an inspirational performance from Louise Quinn and Darren Carter's Birmingham City. Louise Quinn, the leader on the pitch, Carter off it, has seen Birmingham City beat Brighton. They're now 4 points behind Leicester City and breathing down their necks in the race for survival. First of all, let's look at the Manchester City team. There's 4 alterations from their last WSL game. A 2-0 victory at West Ham United back on the 2nd of April. Chloe Kelly comes in for her first WSL start in almost a year, since the 2nd of May 2021, where she had that horrible injury in the 4-0 victory here against Birmingham City. Ellen White, Laura Coombs and Julie Blackstad also in. Khadija Bunny-Shaw, Hayley Rasso, Georgia Stanway and Demi Stokes are the 4 to drop out. Of course, since then, they did also have that second trip to face West Ham United in the FA Cup, where they won 4-1 in the semi-final, when Kelly was on target, with Lauren Hemp scoring 2 and Ellen White, as they reached the FA Cup final. As for Leicester City, just one change from the side that were demolished 5-0 at home against Arsenal, with Beth Mead, Viviana Miedema scoring twice, Ashley Plumter scoring an own goal and Tobin Heath on target. Abby McManus comes in and captains. Sophie Barker drops out. Barker on the bench if needed. And it will be interesting to see tactically how this battle plays out. Lydia Bedford's side have liked to play with a back 3 all season, something of a 3-4-3 that can almost become a 5-2-3 when the fullbacks de Graaf and Perfield drop back in defence. Manchester City have oscillated between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-2-2 this season. Ellen White and former Manchester City defender Abby McManus completing the coin toss, with referee Louise Saunders, your 4th official. Keeping charge of Gareth Taylor and Lydia Bedford on the touchline is Andrew Kitchen. Assistant referees Lucy Ann Briggs and Abby Dearden. Manchester City in their traditional light blue colours with the right trimmings, to kick from left to right as we look at things. As before kick-off, a moment to take a stand by taking a knee against all forms of racism, something women's football's led particularly well on. Leicester City to attack in their changed grey, black and pink kit from right to left. Ellen White gets us underway then in a really important match for very contrasting reasons for these two teams. Manchester City can't really afford a slip up. The chase for that third and final Champions League spot for next season that is so coveted. They're 3 points behind their arch rivals Manchester United, who play later today in the 6 p.m. British summertime kickoff away at Aston Villa. Meanwhile, Leicester are feeling the heat after Birmingham grabbed their second WSL win of the season yesterday. Victors against Birmingham. They now know that it's looking increasingly likely that 3 defeats in their last 3 games for Leicester City, and it might well give Birmingham City the chance to catch them, particularly with that recent improvement in form for Darren Carter's side, taking 4 points from their last couple of games. Well, won by Freya Gregory. Ashley Plumter gives it away straight to Lucy Bronze. Lana Kennedy, who's recently been clocking up the air miles on international duty. You'll see she's got that face covering on as well. It's not some attempt to impersonate a superhero. It's for very good medical reasons, as that slid in behind for Hemp. Hemp tries to put it across. Well dealt with that time. Lana Kennedy also becoming something of a meme for the moment, where she hurt her nose, shall we say, put it in quite a bit of bother, and then looked up at the big screen whilst playing for the Matildas, and then caught sight of the damage she'd sustained and was somewhat shocked and surprised, shall we say. Great to see Alana Kennedy back out there on the pitch today, and a centre-back partnership with Alex Greenwood that's been really important for Manchester City in their rebuilding job this season. An injury hit first half of the campaign, but my goodness me, there's been a resurgence. 9 straight wins in all competitions for today's home side. Leicester City have lost their last 5 in all competitions. After that result for Birmingham, they'll be aware that if they lose their last 3 in the WSL, it might mean immediate relegation back to the Championship that they won last season. Of course, Birmingham City still have to play Manchester City on the 4th of May in a rearranged game just before the final day of the season. Kelly to cross, flicked away. Goodwin holding off the challenge. Flint tries to win it. Won back quickly by Alex Greenwood. He's been superb for Manchester City this season. It's easy to forget that left centre-back, once upon a time not so long ago, wasn't necessarily her first position. Caroline Weir. Back for Greenwood. Bronze. Remember as well, with the recent break, this is Leicester City's first game in 3 weeks since that defeat against Arsenal. With the recent international break, of course they weren't in FA Cup action either. Didn't make it to the last 4 as Hemp puts that in. Only half cleared. Helped on again for Hemp to cross. Hemp's little chip. And it wasn't the best bit of work from Lambourne. Ends up safely back in her gloves, but did punch it into harm's way there for a second, Demi Lambourne. Good feet from Coombs to get it away for Hemp. Lambourne opted to punch rather than catch. Bronze was in there trying to follow up. Won by Bronze. Never needs a second invite to roam down that right flank, Lucy Bronze. Kennedy looks for options. Lovely progressive pass from Greenwood for Julie Blackstad. Down the line for Hemp. Hemp will have the pace to get there. Pulled back off the post. So close from Ellen White. Manchester City nearly with the early lead. They've got a near telepathic link up, Lauren Hemp and Ellen White, and it was demonstrated yet again there. Bronze. Manchester City showing they're in the mood in the spring sunshine. Down the line for Chloe Kelly. What an asset to have back in the team. Headed away. Bit of chaos in the penalty area. Coombs is chasing in. And Coombs was looking for Kelly, who was wrong-footed. It is a bit of a new combination, Blackstad and Hemp down that left-hand side, with Demi Stokes not in the starting 11 today. Worked very nicely there. And the serial poacher, Ellen White, just couldn't quite convert. Has seemed to relish the leadership role of being captain. Ellen White with, of course, Steph Horton, a long-term absentee. Horton celebrating her birthday yesterday. There's also been plenty of change in terms of country as well as club for Horton in recent times, with after 8 years of commendable service as Lionesses captain. Leah Williamson has taken over the world-class Arsenal centre-half. Serena Wiedmann's picked to lead the team from now on. And will lead the team to the Women's Euros this summer, which is not far away at all. England versus Austria at Old Trafford on Wednesday the 6th of July. Already a sellout. What a magnificent thing it is to see that as well. Looking forward to being there myself. You had to get your tickets quickly. It's only on sale for around a couple of weeks, and Old Trafford isn't exactly the smallest stadium to sell out by any stretch, of course. And even these City players, with their affiliations to the blue side of Manchester, will of course rightly be very, very excited about that, as Kelly sees that out. First corner of the game, and it comes from Manchester City. What can they make of it? It will be Caroline Weir to take it, left-footed, in-swinging. His driven corner. Ends up going over. Referee Saunders is just going to check on Ellen White, who doesn't seem to have come off particularly well there. Seems to be one of those headers where the ball more hit White rather than White necessarily looking for contact with it. Came through a crowd of bodies and struck her in the face. Lambourne to try and get Leicester City up the pitch. Just looking for a foothold in this game. That's something they've struggled for a bit recently in matches, Leicester City. I've often found they've conceded early goals and then games have got away from them very fast. I know that's one thing they want to correct. I think of the most notable example in that regard, the Chelsea game, where Lydia Bedford was very quick to blame herself rather than her players in terms of trying to press a Chelsea team full of world-class talent high up the pitch, one-on-one, and they got ruthlessly exposed. And it's notable they're sitting in a lower block here. That's well seen out. Good defending down that inside right channel for Leicester City from Missy Goodwin. Will have an important role in protecting the back line in midfield in a game like this, where one would anticipate Manchester City will have the majority of the ball. And Leicester will have to soak up play for long periods. Remember, West Ham away at Reading in 8th versus 7th has just kicked off as well. Busy programme of WSL action today. In 20 minutes or so, Spurs play Chelsea, 5th versus 1st, and as well as the London rivalry. If Spurs can get something out of that, that will have massive implications, and ironically, to their biggest rivals, Arsenal, a big favour, because Arsenal need Chelsea to slip up if they're to get their noses in front above them in the title race. Arsenal 1 point behind Chelsea, and then Aston Villa versus Manchester United is a bit later on, 9th against 3rd, and then weekend concludes with Everton versus Arsenal, 10th against 2nd. Kira Walsh. Greenwood. Slides it on. Hemp looking for the little touch on. And that was an important piece of defending from Esme de Graaf. Got the unenviable job of trying to keep Lauren Hemp quiet. Not many have succeeded with that one in recent times. Bronze. Coombs. Well, one back. Shannon O'Brien tries to start a counter-attack. Just trying to look for Molly Pike there. Just couldn't quite find her, Abby McManus. Hemp with room to run, and that's always dangerous. That is really well defended by Esme de Graaf, who's got a key battle in this game out there. Manchester City use their wing players so much in what they do. Of course, they have lost one of those recently in Janine Becky departing for the Portland Thorns after 91 appearances in the light blue of Manchester City. Plenty of fond memories as well. 4 goals against Sheffield United in the Conti Cup, winning penalty in the Conti Cup final against Arsenal in 2019. Also scored in the FA Cup final victory against Everton at Wembley Stadium on November 2020. I got a really nice send-off from Manchester City squad as well. Wasn't maybe getting the minutes she'd have necessarily liked, which might have contributed to the move for the Canadian international. Also got a stunning mural shot of her in a Manchester City kit with a backdrop of the skyline from Matti Fondato on Twitter. Becky quick to thank him for a lovely piece of art to put on the mantelpiece as a memory with trophies and medals of her time at Manchester City. City, of course, with plenty of options in those wide areas. Julie Blackstad and Lauren Hemp, Chloe Kelly, Jess Park. Khadija Bunny Shaw's very positionally versatile as well. Really interesting tactical battle here. Leicester City not pressing high up the pitch, which is definitely Lydia Bedford's preferred way of playing generally. They're respecting Manchester City and sitting in more of a low block. Suggests they have learnt their lessons somewhat from that game, particularly against Chelsea, where they lost 7-0 back on the 26th of February. And then a 9-0 defeat against Chelsea at home on the 27th of March, where they found themselves 3 or 4 down very, very early on from pressing incredibly high up the pitch. Here's Hemp. Blackstad inside, Walsh. Thought of striking one, good closing down. That's what Leicester City are going to have to do to get something today, and that's more diligent defence to take the ball off Coombs. Shouldn't be forgotten as well. It's a fantastic story what's happened at Leicester City as well. You can see their coaching dugout just in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. Lydia Bedford just passing instructions off based on what she's seen so far. Gareth Taylor in the bottom left there. Leicester City newly promoted from the Championship last season, example of a club with a high-profile men's team who have really invested in their team, in a women's team, I should say, in a very sensible and considered and long-term way. Came up from the Championship last season and had good runs in both the Conti Cup and the FA Cup, despite being a second division side at that point. This season they have found it tough going, stepping up to the WSL, but they're well placed to stay up, primarily thanks to, in fact entirely thanks to a run of 4 wins from 6 mid-season. Here's Weir to strike one, deflected. Gemma Perfield puts it into touch. Had a good run through the middle period of the season, Leicester City. A 2-0 home win against Birmingham, 1-0 home win against Brighton in December and then in January, and then 2 wins in February. Away against Birmingham by 2-1, and then 3-0 at home against West Ham. Indeed, if they stay up against Birmingham City, those 2 wins against them will have proved critical. As Kelly pulls it back and Manchester City are in front. Simple as that. One lovely pass in behind for Kelly to square it back. And after a quarter of an hour, having not really created that much so far, they've found their way through. And Caroline Weir scores the opening goal yet again. Almost half her goals across her Manchester City career have been openers in matches. And this is yet another one of those to add to the tally. Just ghosting in from the edge of the box, completely unmarked. The recrimination start in the Leicester City defence. And that's what Manchester City can do. For a moment, it looks like you've got them where you want them. And they might have the ball, but your defence is relatively set. And then you blink, and the ball is in your own net. And that is exactly what happened there. Caroline Weir just keeps making a habit of scoring big goals. She very rarely seems to score your unimportant consolation goals. That is just not her style. Think of all those wonder strikes against Manchester United that Mary Earps probably has nightmares about. The two key goals when they came back to win the Conti Cup final 3-1 against Chelsea this season. This one might not quite be on necessarily those levels, but it is the opener against defensively resolute Leicester City side. Blackstad's cross is overhit, and even the pace of Chloe Kelly can't get to that one. An assist for Chloe Kelly on her first WSL start in almost a year, making up for lost time. And that's got the home fans into really good voice here as they try and encourage their side to score even more. They've been on the kind of goal-scoring run recently, Manchester City, where it seemed like they can score goals at times without even trying. They make it look so effortless. In fact, the only time they've failed to score in a game since mid-November was the 1-0 WSL defeat against Chelsea on the 6th of February. More often than not, they haven't just been scoring one, they've been scoring 3, 4 or 5. Or as Nottingham Forest got hit for in the FA Cup in late January, 8. Walsh. Bronze, lovely little touch on, and has Kelly there, was trying to find Chloe Kelly, couldn't quite do so. Little touch on by Weir. Weir, who I make it now in 36 goals for Manchester City, 18 of those have been openers in matches. Stat courtesy of that MCW Stato, a brilliant account for all things Manchester City women's stats. There's a bit of an ongoing joke as well with Caroline Weir, both from current boss Gareth Taylor and previous Manchester City boss Nick Cushing, that she's shown she can score worldies from outside of the box, that she's now got to challenge herself by showing she can score inside it, getting into positions like she did for that goal. So I know that the City management will be particularly pleased with that. She's known for her lethal long ranges, looking to add a bit more variety to the types of goals she scores, just to up that tally even further. She is on to 13 in 28 in all competitions with that goal now. It's an extraordinary tally for an attacking midfielder. Doesn't even account for the assists and the creativity she brings. Won by Perfield. Really tough test this now, psychologically as much as anything else for Leicester. Been quite a few games recently where they've conceded that first goal and then the second and third have followed not a million miles afterwards. Against the top teams, of course, it is so difficult. In fairness, when they lost 5-0 to Arsenal in their last WSL game on the 3rd of February, Beth Mead had the Gunners in front in just the second minute, but it took the 67th minute until then for the Gunners to finally find a second through Viviana Miedemar. And then Arsenal went on to win it 5-0. Maybe a chance to break forward here. Back from De Graaf. The high press from Manchester City is well organised though. What else would you expect? One back by Caroline Weir. Bronze. Still Bronze slaloming through. What a run this is by Lucy Bronze. It is still Bronze. And look to assist Ellen White. Had she gone herself and scored, that would have been a goal of the season contender. This is absolutely vintage Lucy Bronze. Cutting in from starting out on the right-hand side. And taking on all comers. Leicester City had backed off and backed off and backed off. And they just about survive. Playing a dangerous game there, though. Manchester City hoping that goal from Weir is the springboard to a similar result to when these sides met in the league in November, when Caroline Weir, Kira Walsh, Lauren Hemp and Laura Coombs all scored in a 4-1 win for Manchester City, despite Jess Sigsworth actually having Leicester City in front early on. Would have been a particularly sweet goal, that one, for the former Manchester United forward. Not involved today. She's out for the rest of the season with anterior cruciate ligament injury, better known as an ACL, which of course is exactly what Chloe Kelly has just come back from. Greenwood. Hemp dropping a touch deeper, and now she can run. Slides it in behind. We're on Blackstad's cross, and almost an own goal off Ashley Plumpter. Had to try and get something on it, the Nigerian international. Knew there'd inevitably be a City shirt behind her, waiting for the tap-in. City have to settle for a corner. Love the interplay between Hemp, Weir and Blackstad. And Kelly was waiting behind Plumpter. Corner clipped in by Weir. It's almost met for the volley at the far post, but instead Alana Kennedy has ended up inadvertently following the player who was trying to mark her. Really unfortunate, completely accidental collision here. Kennedy was trying a waist-height scissor kick. Looks to be Shannon O'Brien who's down. This is the goal that separates the teams from the 16th minute. Bronze just clipping one in behind. Chloe Kelly getting free. And there was Weir unmarked just outside the 6-yard box. You can see Demi Lambourne immediately up to turn to Leicester City's defence down that left side and start the inquest as to how that had happened. In a difficult run at the moment. 5 consecutive defeats, and they've conceded 27 goals in those 5 games. They've only scored in one of those 5 matches. Lost 7-0 to Chelsea in late February, 4-0 at Manchester United on the 5th of March, 3-2 at Everton in a thrilling game on the 12th of March, and then back-to-back home defeats. 9-0 against Chelsea in late March, and then 5-0 against Arsenal in early April before the international break. Really unfortunate to see this for Shannon O'Brien, and let's hope she's been okay. Might not be a name that some of the more casual fans of women's football are necessarily aware of, but a really, really exciting young prospect, Shannon O'Brien. Still not even 21, 20 years old, and in terms of the youngest players to have played 1,000 minutes or more in the WSL this season, she's 4th in that particular criteria. Gemma Lawley, Maya Letizier of Brighton, the defender, and Emma Harries, the promising young striker of Reading, the only 3 who are younger. And O'Brien hasn't just played a lot of minutes for a young player, but has been really impressive in doing so as well. Has been involved in the England youth setup extensively. No surprise at all to know that. Was part of the England under-23 squad at the recent international break. O'Brien seems fine to continue, which is good to see. Want to see our best players out there on the pitch doing what they do best, no matter what your colours are. On that note, I think anybody can appreciate just how wonderful it is to see Chloe Kelly back out doing her thing, her first WSL start today. Assisted the opening goal. And one would be a touch surprised. Now she looks to be refinding the impressively high ability and performance levels that she'd showed so consistently for Manchester City since joining from Everton. One would increasingly expect to see her, providing fitness is okay, in Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses squad this summer at the Euros. Something of a late bolter in one sense, in that injury stopped her being part of the Wiegmann era so far. But no doubting what she can add to that. Here is Kelly. Bronze. Still Bronze. It's down the line for Kelly. Kelly's cross. Lambourne is there. A thumbs up in appreciation from Ellen White. That's exactly the kind of service she wants from her wingers. Leicester City with just 2 games left after this one. At home against Reading on the 1st of May. And then away at Rhian Skinner's Tottenham Hotspur on the final day of the season. Birmingham City, of course, have 3 games left and are 4 points behind them after victory yesterday. When you've got 2 sides that have struggled for points so much across the season, even one win has a stratospheric effect in terms of changing the way the table looks. Suddenly 4 points behind rather than 7. It all feels a lot less comfortable for Leicester City. Julie Blackstad, and today in the left-back position for Manchester City, but has plenty of freedom to roam forward. I know that she was highly rated by a range of top European clubs, signed by Manchester City in January from Rosenborg. I was chatting to certain Joe Montemurro, the former Arsenal boss, now at Juventus. He said to me about Blackstad, she'll be a top player, an explosive left winger. Said you don't see many of those left-footed wide players, really special in the attacking third, and Blackstad showing her versatility by playing at left wing back as well today. It gives you Blackstad and Hemp down the same flank, which, my goodness, that is something to give defenders nightmares. Bronze looking for that left side, where a bit of an overload had opened up. Too much on it for Blackstad. Sophie Howard. Leicester City have seen very little of the ball and they haven't kept it there. White. Blackstad ran into trouble. White running back there. And Hemp wins it back. That's felt a bit like attack versus defence. There's no shame in that for Leicester City. They're playing against a world-class team who are in form. Nodded on by Goodwin. Back there battling with Hemp. Just has to whack it clear. It's anywhere will do stuff for Leicester City. Just feel, at the very least, as a small win if they can get to half-time with it still at 1-0. Keeping themselves in the game. Just need to get one counter-attack, a moment of brilliance going up forward. A mistake at the back from Manchester City. But it's a very different Manchester City animal from the first half of this season. They've improved defensively a lot as well. In fact, they've gone on a run of 5 straight clean sheets in all competitions until Lisa Evans scored for West Ham in the 4-1 FA Cup semi-final victory for Manchester City. Evans got a goal that made it 2-1 to briefly give the Hammers hope last Sunday. 4 by Walsh. Good headed, nice Hemp the chance to roam forward. Good from De Graaf. He's actually done pretty well in that battle against Lauren Hemp. Foul on Flint. Tammy Lambourne to come out and take the free kick and try and get Leicester City up into Manchester City's half. They've not really had the ball in City's half at any point across the game, you'd have to say. Now they've got a chance to create something. Swung cross-field, but too much on it for Freya Gregory. Trying to use the pace of the Aston Villa loanee, who's been bright since joining for the Foxes. They've managed to find opportunities for her down that left wing. But now here comes Bronze. Bronze's cross, and turned wide by Ellen White. Not an easy skill that, to take it first time on the run. But for a player of her incredibly high ability, she is clearly frustrated that she didn't hit the target. Often with chances like this from Ellen White, it ends up being tucked into the corner. And she works on finishes like that. She's talked about this very publicly, her training regime of having balls fired at her from various angles with her on the just inside the box, that kind of an area. Try and contort her body, be able to not need to take too many touches in there. And try and get shots away on target and at the very least make goalkeepers work. Bit of pressure there from Leicester, snuffed out. Walsh. Such a quietly important part of the Manchester City machine, Kira Walsh. I know that there was a feeling from quite a few that actually she was the biggest problem of all of the extensive injuries they had across the pitch, because hurt them the most in terms of their balance as a team. Kira Walsh, who's talked a lot about how she also looks to learn off other players in her position. Mentioned Arsenal's Leah Valti, Chelsea's Ji So-yeon, and also Kim Little of Arsenal too, as where she watches and learns from in terms of how they play in that central midfield role. Walsh recently passing 200 appearances in Manchester City colours. Only Steph Houghton has more. It's pretty good company to be in these parts. It's very clear she's a big part of Sarina Wiegman's plans for the Lionesses as well. Lionesses who do have a certain strong level of representation from the blue side of Manchester, to put it one way. There's certainly no shortage of Manchester City players in there. Ellie Roebuck, Lucy Bronze, Alex Greenwood, Demi Stokes, Georgia Stanway, Kira Walsh, Lauren Hemp and Ellen White, all in the last England squad. Rare chance for Leicester City to break here. Flint helps it on. For once, it's City who've got some defending to do. Back from McManus. Perfield. Gregory doesn't really have anywhere to go. That's a terrible ball back from Freya Gregory. And here's Ellen White, has Bronze in support. It's Bronze now. Sets it back. Kelly's shot. And then following in. The scramble defence is just about good enough for the Foxes, who put themselves in all sorts of trouble needlessly there. Foul on Alex Greenwood. This was the back pass from Freya Gregory. As soon as she played the ball, she knew. White found Bronze. In turn, got it to Kelly. Great block back there by Ashley Plumptre, and another good one as well from Plumptre second time around. Ashley Plumptre, who recently helped Nigeria qualify for the African Cup of Nations, eligible for Nigeria through her grandfather. Born in Leicester, Plumptre is relatively recently started embarking on her international career with the Super Eagles. Half-time not a million miles away here, and elsewhere in the WSL right now, Reading versus West Ham is goalless. Tottenham versus Chelsea is also goalless 10 minutes in. Perfield using that good long throw. Gregory in there fighting for it against Coombs. And that brief chance for Leicester City to try and test Ellie Roebuck or create something comes to nothing. And again, the more familiar pattern of Manchester City putting pressure on can begin. Remember, of course, if you want to follow Manchester City on social media, they're on @ManCityWomen. Leicester City on @LCFC_women. You can follow the league to keep up with everything across the Barclays FAWSL on @Barclays FAWSL. If you wish to send me a tweet as a member of your commentary team with any questions or thoughts about the game so far and what we've seen and what's going on with both these teams and across the league, you can do so on @ThisIsMcCann, MCCANN. Looks to be a bit of a nasty injury that's been picked up here by Perfield and going for this aerial collision with Bronze. Well, it looks to me there like Bronze heads the ball and Perfield, in going for the ball, ends up heading the side of Lucy Bronze's face, and that is why Gemma Perfield has come off the worst of the two. I'd imagine we'll need a head injury assessment as well for concussion before playing on here. This would be a real blow for Leicester City because the wing-backs are particularly important in this three-at-the-back system that Lydia Bedford likes to employ. So if Perfield's not able to continue, it does make life awkward for them. They don't necessarily have a like-for-like replacement for her. She helps to give balance as well through being a left footer. Perfield's back to her feet and looks not too bad compared to some players you see in nasty aerial collisions like this. Whether she'll necessarily actually continue is another matter. Referee Louise Saunders just sorting out the restart. Do let us know on social media as well where you're watching from, of course. Fantastic to get messages about people keeping up with the FA player and the Barclays FAWSL from right across the globe. Whether it's early morning or late evening where you are, or anywhere in between, you are very, very welcome. This game is for all of us to enjoy. That's something that the women's game, in terms of issues around diversity and discrimination, has led particularly well on. Here comes Hemp. Hemp might shoot. Hemp does shoot. And Hemp drags it wide. And given her outstanding form across this season, you're almost surprised when Lauren Hemp misses these days. But for once she did there. It opened up very, very nicely on the break. Nodded on by Weir. And that's very clever from Ellen White. Don't be fooled. I'm thinking that was an aimless stab forward. White always knows in this system Gareth Taylor employs that she's going to have two wingers hugging both touchlines, causing chaos in the wide areas. And so often down that left flank, it is Lauren Hemp. Did that to good effect there. Hemp already with 16 goals in 30 games across all competitions. And mid-season signed big contract extension with Manchester City, which is often forgotten in the excitement and the buzz around player recruitment, that sometimes player retention can be as, if not more important. Hemp signing through to 2024. As the cross is swung in, it's over Lambourne. And Hemp was there, ghosting in at the back post. And Lambourne immediately tries to set Leicester going, but it doesn't work. Perfield did well initially against Kelly, but that's the problem with Manchester City. They're so good at creating these overloads in wide areas. They're so good at getting the fullbacks forward that it can be really, really difficult. It does seem like this system that is something of a 3-4-3 for Leicester City isn't quite coping in those wide areas when Bronze and Blackstad look to overlap beyond the wingers Hemp and Kelly. Albeit the game looks so easy from the commentary box, of course, doesn't it? Weird down the line. And again, it's being demonstrated here. Blackstad puts it in. Hemp with the header. It comes back for Hemp. It's Lauren Hemp, and it's 2-0 Manchester City. She missed mere moments ago, but this season in particular, Lauren Hemp doesn't miss twice in a row too often. Manchester City's top scorer this season strikes again. A cheeky chip from Lauren Hemp after the ball was bouncing around the box. And just before half-time, City are in control now. Hemp started the move. It was exactly what I just mentioned. They're getting a lot of joy in these wide areas through the overlapping fullbacks. Blackstad's ball in. A series of deflections. It was good awareness from White to set up Hemp. Lauren Hemp just wasn't going to miss that. Goal number 17 in game number 31 for Lauren Hemp. Player who, of course, offers so much more than just goal scoring as well. But has, throughout her career, often been a creative, tricky winger, but that ruthless goal scoring edge is something that she has added to her game more recently. It is her best scoring season so far in her career. And it is worth reminding you yet again, she's only 21 years old, Lauren Hemp. I know that quite a few of her teammates, both publicly and privately, have repeatedly told her she doesn't seem to realise just how good she is. I know Jill Scott and Ellen White said that in an interview discussing, amongst other things, the excellence of Hemp. Not from these parts, of course, from North Walsham once upon a time, and was delighted to get an opportunity to play in front of the stadium that she used to go to watch Norwich City as a kid. Nearly scored for the Lionesses at Carrow Road against Spain recently, hitting the post. That would have been a career highlight for her, no doubt. Now thriving in Manchester. Here's Bronze. Kelly. Still Kelly. Kelly's cross. White was in there. Just a little flick off a Leicester City head on the way through, doing the damage. Blackstad. Into stoppage time at the end of this first half. Coombs. Walsh just ghosting into a really good position here, Kira Walsh. Needs options. There's Kelly. Twisting and turning, back for Coombs. Into the second minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half. Ball in, could be free. And the flag's up against Ellen White, who I know social media does like to make various jokes around the fact that Ellen White and the offside flag do often seem to be in constant conflict. She's a player that likes to play right off that final defender. Serial poacher and a gobbler up of goals, Ellen White. Chasing down that Lioness's record as well, so impressively. Half-time whistle mere moments away. Into the last of the 3 minutes added on. Could be free for City. Blackstad flashes it in! What a goal! Well, whilst others might have crossed, Julie Blackstad had other ideas. And what a way to score your first goal for your new club. Julie Blackstad off and running at Manchester City. And they won't be forgetting this one in a hurry. Initially great work by Hemp. And from there, you really think Blackstad is probably going to look to cross it. But she opened herself out, used the side foot. She wasn't looking for options to cross to. That was very much deliberate. Leicester City will be worrying that this is following a similar recent script when they faced the bigger teams in the Women's Super League. That is that for half-time. An emphatic full stop put on this first half by Julie Blackstad's first goal in Manchester City colours. The home side in total control here as they chase a 10th straight win in all competitions. Caroline Weir got them off and running in the 16th minute. Lauren Hemp made it 2, just 2 minutes before half-time. And then in stoppage time, it was 3. The score at the break, Manchester City 3, Leicester City 0. Welcome back to the Academy Stadium for the second half of Manchester City versus Leicester City here. Manchester City 3-0 up at the break. Goals from Caroline Weir, Lauren Hemp and Julie Blackstad with her first for the club since joining from Rosenborg in January, putting them in complete control. Leicester City in their changed grey, black and pink kit, an interesting trio of colours, will be attacking from left to right in this second half as we look at things from the commentary box. And Manchester City in that traditional light blue home kit will be going from right to left, and they'll be hungry for more goals. It is the way they are drilled under Gareth Taylor, to be absolutely ruthless. Back-to-back 4-0 wins against Everton in the FA Cup quarter-final and then in the league recently, and a 4-1 win against Manchester City in the FA Cup semi against West Ham United, I should say. Giving them a 4-1 win in the semi-finals. It means that in 3 of Manchester City's last 4 games before this one, they've scored 4 goals. And part of you would be a bit surprised if they don't end up with at least 4 here. Leicester City desperate to find a fight back. Would be quite something if they could. So off and underway for the second half then. No changes made by either side yet. No changes made at the break. Manchester City looking to build on their impressive tally to this point. Great to see that at half-time a couple of people have been getting involved on social media with your comments and thoughts and questions on the game. Craig P. Brown picking up on my use of describing Ellen White as a gobbler up of goals in terms of her poaching abilities. Saying I like that term. I coach a grassroots girls team and I'm going to pinch this one. Well, you have my full permission to do so. Just trying to find a word that nicely summons up White's hunger to be in the right place at the right time and ruthless in the box, and Manchester City certainly have been that. Caroline Weir had them in front with a goal that demonstrated that ability as well, getting on the end of Chloe Kelly's cross. Lauren Hemp, after a game of penalty box pinball, made it 2 in the 43rd minute. And then Blackstad's wonderful strike, the best of the 3, no doubt, in first half stoppage time. That's what's brought us to this point. Bronze forward, headed away by Howard. Part of you does fear for Leicester City in this second half as Gregory clears it away. And they do at least get a throw there. No team in Barclays FA WSL history across the competition's decade or so has ever lost 3 consecutive games by 5 goals or more. And they will hope that that's not about to happen to them after losing 9-0 to Chelsea in late March at home, and then another big home defeat when Arsenal won 5-0 against them on the 3rd of April before the international break. Conceded 21 goals across their last 4 league matches, 28 across their last 5 in all competitions. And it will be particularly concerning with that Birmingham win, just meaning that relegation battle tightens up once more. Birmingham just 4 points behind. Here's Kelly, space to run in the spring sunshine. Bronze's ball in, White was in there. Now Kelly once more, linking up with Coombs. Comes to nothing that time. Leicester City, of course, who've come so far, so fast. Are a bit of an example to around half a dozen clubs I know from very good sources in contacts across women's football. Clubs that are in Tier 3 right now, in either the FA Women's National League North or South, for whom their next promotion would get them up into the FA Women's Championship, and then the one after that would take them into Tier 1, of course, of the WSL. Of how to do things correctly. I know that around half a dozen teams in Tier 3 who have a men's Premier League or Championship club that are now looking to take their women's setup a lot more seriously in terms of training, resources, infrastructure and investment, about how to do things and build that in the right way. And of course Manchester City have been quite an example in that regard too, over a much longer period of time. Into touch from Plumpter. Ashley Plumpter, who nearly scored an own goal in the first half when trying to slide one clear and get there ahead of Chloe Kelly in the 6-yard box. To just about avoiding yet another one as Weir strikes one from distance and White nearly puts it in on the rebound. Well, that is Caroline Weir all over. Ball being worked around the edge of the box. And the Scot doesn't need a second invite to have a go. As soon as half a second of space opens up, you might know what she's going to do, but it's a whole other thing trying to stop it. And it was a good save by Lambourne. White was almost there. I'm sure Ellen White will be very hungry for a goal today. Think of food envy, of when you see somebody else's plate of food that your friends ordered at a restaurant and you prefer what they've got to yours. I wonder whether there's just a little bit of goal envy for Ellen White today. She's watched Weir, Hemp and Blackstad all score. I'm sure she'd love to get on the board herself, albeit at the end of it all would be very pleased with 3 more points for Manchester City regardless. Kennedy forward. Now won by Flint. Here's Pike. Molly Pike once of Everton. Back to Plumpter. Heavy touch by Gregory. There's Perfield. Perfield loses it, and now Bronze can come forward. Referee Sanders bringing it back for the free kick. Chloe Kelly over the set piece. In fact, it's Laura Coombs who plays it back for Kennedy. Wide by Weir. Hemp. Hemp inside for Weir. Hemp. Cutting inside. Here goes Hemp. Foul by de Graaf. Just Just a slightly untidy challenge and a free kick in a very inviting area. Not sure the angle's quite right for a direct shot at goal. Though Caroline really does sometimes like to hit them when they're in a more central area. Instead, it's going to be the left foot of Alex Greenwood to swing it in. Blackstad is loitering with intent in a dangerous wide area. Greenwood clips it up, and it's a rare poor delivery from Alex Greenwood, who's been so good for Manchester City at centre-half this season. Right through even their worst injury crisis. No players played more minutes for Manchester City this season than Greenwood. She started every league game. She's made an appearance one way or another in every match across all competitions. And in a year where defensive calamity so often plagued Manchester City, with that injury crisis particularly hitting the goalkeeping and defensive departments hard, looks like Gareth Taylor's choice to view as a centre-back rather than a left-back is one of his most tactically astute calls during his time at the club. There was a really good article from Jessie Parker-Humphreys in The Analyst breaking down various players who've been particularly impressive in the WSL so far this season that honed in on Greenwood. It's well worth a look, and was making the point about just how well Alex Greenwood helps Manchester City build out from the back in terms of creating things in open play from deep, for a long lofted balls and switch play to find the likes of Lauren Hemp, Hayley Rasso and Jess Park. It's top of the WSL in terms of defenders for successful passes in the opposition half, touches. It's right up there for expected assists as well. For once, Leicester City pressing high up the pitch. We didn't really see them do that at all in the first half, but Flint's doing it here to good effect. And it's given as a foul on Alana Kennedy. Natasha Flint almost getting in behind. Rare touch from Ellie Roebuck to get things underway again. Well, it was a bit of a forwards tackle from Flint on Kennedy, but can at least admire the tenacity and determination to try and make something happen. Blackstad feeling she was fouled. Didn't look to be a lot in that one. A little nutmeg there on Lauren Hemp. Well, that is not something you see every day. Normally tends to be Lauren Hemp giving the nutmegs. Blackstad with the foul there on Goodwin. Not seen either bench used yet. Can't be waiting too long now, I'd imagine. 6 outfield options on the bench for Manchester City, because bar injury or a red card, I don't expect we'll be seeing the backup keepers, Karima Venamortaib or teenager Kyra Keating. There's the left-back Demi Stokes, the midfielder Georgia Stanway, who's been a big part of City's resurgence in recent times. Philippa Angeldal, Australian winger Hayley Rasso, Khadija Bunny Shaw, who's been such an impressive addition up front, and Ruby Mace, a talented young defender signed from Arsenal last summer. Purfield's got to be careful against Kelly. As for Leicester City, it is a bench lacking quite as many star names, and due to the Foxes' relatively small squad and a few absentees, has quite a young feel about it. Regulation catch for Lambourne. Sophie Harris, the backup keeper. Georgia Broom, the Manchester-born centre-half, who was brought through the Manchester City Academy and actually did make 7 appearances for the Citizens. Charlie Devlin, the central midfielder. Paige Bailey-Gell, the Jamaican winger. Sophie Barker, the midfielder. Lisa Body, and then Connie Schofield complete the bench. Here's Shannon O'Brien. He's managed to get past Walsh and has got past Kennedy as well. That's a nice carry forward from Shannon O'Brien in a match where Leicester City have not offered much, it has to be said, going forward. Maybe they can test Ellie Roebuck here. Roebuck, in truth, for long periods of this game has been something of a spectator. Haven't had a shot on or off target in the game so far. I'll hope that's going to change here. I would imagine it will be the left foot of Gemma Purfield. Could be the right foot of Natasha Flint, though. More often than not, does tend to be Purfield from positions like this. He'll try and bend it around the wall and away from Roebuck. It's Purfield's free kick, and it's straight at Ellie Roebuck. He's often a real danger at set pieces there, but Purfield didn't quite get her angles right. Too close to Ellie Roebuck. He hasn't had an awful lot to aside from that, really, at all, apart from a few passes out from the back occasionally. Leicester City haven't had much to shout about going forward. They only had 2 shots against Chelsea in that 9-0 loss, and then in their last WSL game against Arsenal, they managed just 1. Kelly inside. Walsh. A bit frustrated that she didn't have the passing option she'd have wanted there, Kira Walsh. Greenwood wins the throw off Goodwin. Blackstad looks around for options. Weir. Hemp. Good triangulation down that left flank. Blackstad back for Weir. Now space for Kennedy. This is what Manchester City like to do. They really like to probe, particularly down both flanks. Leicester City played with this compact 3-player defence, hoping that those 3 centre-backs would shield them somewhat. But City getting in behind in those wide areas has opened Leicester up. Walsh on for Blackstad. Hemp. Weir on the turn. Hemp again. Ball played on. Hemp in there fighting for it. De Graaf almost got herself into trouble there. Flint can't keep it. Plenty of important action going on elsewhere. If you don't wish to know scores in other games, I know there are some who like to do things like that. Maybe mute your audio for a bit. Weir helps it on for Hemp. Could be number 4 here, Blackstad. Now Coombs can hit one. It's Coombs! And it's saved by Lambourne. Elsewhere in the WSL, just past the hour mark at the Majewski in Berkshire. And West Ham United are in front there. Emma Snurl, the Danish midfielder, with a goal just 1 minute into the second half. Tottenham versus Chelsea at half-time in a key game in the title race. It's 1-1. Sophie Ingle own goal had Tottenham in front. But then Guro Wrighton equalised for Chelsea in the 27th minute, but that's by no means all that's happened there. Ann-Katrin Berger, the Chelsea keeper, was sent off in the 33rd minute. That will be an intriguing one to see what happens. I know once we're done here, I think quite a few will be tuning into the last few minutes of that game to see how it ends. Aston Villa versus Manchester United and Everton versus Arsenal later on. Big test for Emma Hayes' side. Down to 10. Can they win to keep the title race in their own hands? Here, Coombs slides it forward. Well intercepted. Back there. No foul given on Purfield. Coombs can cross again. And Lambourne will prevent what would have been a corner. Just got a tweet mentioning that the Morecambe girls under-8s team are watching from Lancaster. Very, very welcome, young and old. And as you can see by that rainbow flag behind the goal as well, with the Manchester City crest on it. This is a game and sport that rightly should always welcome anyone, regardless of their identity. Sport is a great leveller for us all to enjoy together. Khadija Bunny Shaw has been readied on the touchline to come on. Might be 4-0 by the time she comes on. It's Hemp inside, and it's a penalty to Manchester City. The foul from Demi Lambourne. A good quick switch of play. Something that they've done all game, Manchester City. Draw the Leicester defence across to one side. I'm not necessarily sure whether that was a dummy from Caroline, where actually she just missed it. But given her extensive skill as a player, I'm happy to give her the benefit of the doubt. So a chance for 4-0. Demi Lambourne trying to make up for the mistake. In fairness to Lambourne, she had to come out and try and close the angle down on Hemp, who just nicked it past her and drew the foul. Can City go 4-0 up? Remember, goal difference could be really important in the battle for third against Manchester United, so all of these goals really do count, regardless of the fact that they've probably gone a long way to sealing the 3 points already. 4-0. Ruthless from Alex Greenwood. A second in the WSL this season. And every little helps for the blue side of Manchester in terms of the difference that those goals could make. The more difference could yet be the difference between the two sides of Manchester in the race for the Champions League. Triple change for Manchester City. What a set of players to bring on. Demi Stokes, Georgia Stanway and Khadija Bunny Shaw. Julie Blackstack goes off for Stokes at left wing back. Laura Coombs goes off a straight swap for Stanway in midfield. And Khadija Bunny Shaw will replace Manchester City captain Ellen White. Changes for Leicester as well. Sophie Barker will come on and take the captain's armband. Shannon O'Brien will make way for Connie Schofield. And Abby McManus comes off. McManus getting a warm ovation. That was a nice touch from the Manchester City fans. Let's have a look again at that fourth goal. Pretty regulation, nicely slotted penalty from Alex Greenwood. Abby McManus, of course, once off Manchester City. A regular here in these parts for a long time. 9th highest all-time appearance maker for Manchester City. 111 appearances. Just over half of those, 60 of them coming in the WSL. The Shaw slides one in behind with her first touch. Almost leads to something. Now, mention the significance of goal difference just as that goal was scored by Alex Greenwood, and I did so very specifically because that goal takes Manchester City onto plus 23 goal difference, and Manchester United are on plus 22. So that goal from Greenwood means that their goal difference is better than Manchester United, albeit even at 3-0 up, they had managed to go past Manchester United by virtue of more goals scored. They really are that tight in the table. So if this result stays as it is, they will join Manchester United, Manchester City on 38 points from 19 games. But they'll be one better off in terms of goal difference. And all the pressure will move on to the red side of Manchester. Away at Carla Ward's Aston Villa tonight. And with work to do to get their third place spot back. Would in fact mean that as things stand, even if Manchester United win that game against Villa by a single goal, they'll still be behind Manchester City by virtue of goals scored. A big day at the top and the bottom. Worth mentioning at the other end of things that goal difference definitely a concern for Leicester City too. Birmingham City's victory yesterday has given them, of course, a boost in that regard. Leicester City finding themselves, as things stand, on -38 in terms of goal difference. Birmingham's 3-1 win at Brighton yesterday, putting them on to -30. So if those two finished level on points right now, Birmingham City would, by a bit of a distance on goal difference, find themselves surviving. Of course, Leicester do have the modicum of comfort that is still a 4-point cushion. A bit less comforting than the 7-point cushion it was 24 hours or so ago, though, before that win against Brighton for Birmingham, of course. Here goes Hemp. Hemp charging forward, finds Shaw. Shaw on the angle. The pass was just a touch over hit from Lauren Hemp. It meant that Shaw had to go quite a way to get it, and by the time she did, the angle was really going against her. This is classic Hemp, though, on the turn, pocket of space in between defence and midfield. And Chloe Kelly was also waiting at the far post. Didn't quite make it there. If you missed it yesterday, Birmingham winning 3-1 at Brighton. Viatchaki Sari had the Blues in front in just the 9th minute. And then goals from Lucy Quinn in the 75th and 88th minute sealed the points. Brighton had got one back to create a tense finish. They made it 2-1 thanks to Julia Zigiotti-Olme, the Swedish striker, before another goal from the inspirational Louise Quinn. Sealed a third, 3 points to go with that third goal. Good run down that right flank by Connie Schofield. Eventually is just hustled out of it. Now if Manchester City can ruthlessly hunt for yet another goal. Not the best pass from Gregory. Hemp. Greenwood. Paige Bailey-Gales stripped and ready in front of our commentary position to come on for Leicester City. I imagine we'll be on once we get a break in play. Ball forward for Hem, just too much on it. Weir. They look in no mood to settle for 4 here, Manchester City. Kelly for bronze on the overlap. Plumpter is there. Kelly, just a bit of a miscommunication. And Leicester can temporarily breathe a sigh of relief. That change can be made now. Natasha Flint, who has been feeding off scraps somewhat up front for Leicester City today. They've not created much going forward. Comes off, and Paige Bailey-Gale comes on. Bailey-Gale, who's previously played for Arsenal Women and has been at Leicester City since 2019. She scored at the UEFA European Women's Under-17s Championships in 2018. She's capped several times at that level. Still only 20 years old and a bright prospect for the future. I know that even in their short time at the top table, that Leicester City have already built a really good reputation for how they're developing their young players. And Lydia Bedford, taking charge as she did after Jonathan Morgan was sacked, has definitely been a part of that as well. Bedford working extensively in the English women's youth group setups before taking over in her first senior role at Leicester City. Rare touch for Roebuck. Shaw. Stanway, who's given it to Paige Bailey-Gale. Bit of a present for her first touch, getting the ball passed straight to her by Georgia Stanway. Rare mistake for Stanway, who has been magnificent in recent times for Manchester City and is a bit of a joker in the camp as well. One clip that went particularly viral on social media was a game of snack wars against the now departed Janine Becky, where Stanway in her excitement ended up falling off her chair. It's one of those players that certainly keeps spirit in the dressing room in a good place. Bronze drives that one in, caught by Lambourne. I know that one thing Georgia Stanway was particularly mocked for by her teammates was her bucket hat. Ellen White and Jill Scott saying that she has the worst fashion sense. She thinks that she's cool and that the bucket hat was the ultimate demonstration that she's not. I'll leave you to judge on that one for yourself. Walsh. Plumped her up against Shaw, safety first. One thing that has been really interesting to observe about Manchester City today is just the slight tactical tweaks they've done for playing against Lydia Bedford's system, which is something of a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-3-3 with a backline of 5 in defence. As that's over the top for Weir, who just got underneath it. Almost a second of the game for Caroline Weir. A really good pass to pick her out as well. City are in no mood just to tick through this last quarter of an hour or so. Philippa Angeldal is getting stripped and ready in front of us, from a tracksuit to her match kit, ready to come on. Angeldal, who's not had a lot of minutes. It's quite hard to get them in this Manchester City team now that Gareth Taylor's squad are back to full health, or near enough full health. And here is Angeldal. And Ruby Mace, the talented teenager, is ready to come on it. Kira Walsh will make way for Philippa Angeldal, the Swedish central midfielder. And then Ruby Mace will come on as well for Alex Greenwood, who will get a well-deserved rest. 2 changes that make sense. Pretty good opportunity for Angeldal and Mace to get a chance to play here on a lovely spring sunny day with relatively little to risk. Good tackle in there to just try and slow that attack. Into the last 15 minutes. Manchester City have so often thrived, particularly in this part of games. Shaw tries to cross, it might fall for Bronze. Plumpter's header, Shaw's header now. Bronze misses it. It's all a bit of chaos in there. Now it runs for Stokes to strike one. He's just losing her footing at the crucial moment, and wide it goes. Just couldn't quite get the ball away, Leicester City, but didn't end up paying the penalty. Stokes looking for a rare goal, the quietly important part of the Manchester City machine, Demi Stokes. Manchester City machine that have been determined to show in recent times that this is the real City. That's very much been the vibe of the club and the fans as well. That's what they've been saying on the Manchester City fancast, and they certainly have shown what real City looks like, and looks like a highly imposing and not particularly enjoyable team to play. 9 straight wins in all competitions since mid-February, 17 wins from 20 in all comps, going back to late November as Weir puts one in, and I think she was trying to score there onto the top of the net. Caroline Weir, hungry for more goals. We know she loves the spectacular. She makes the spectacular an everyday thing. She does it so often, it seems. Have thrived in the last quarter of an hour of games this season. The 3rd highest scorers in the last 15 minutes of WSL games across this campaign. Arsenal have scored 15 in that period. Chelsea 12, Manchester City 11. And Lydia Bedford's Leicester City have been the most vulnerable in that period of the game. They've conceded 15 goals in the last 15 minutes. They'll be hoping those trends don't continue here to rub, and it is a commentary cliche, but yet more salt in the proverbial wounds from this defeat. Going to have to pick themselves up quickly because they've got an important game at home against Reading on the 1st of May. They'll hope that Reading, maybe, given that they are lodged in mid-table mediocrity, might be an opponent they'll have a touch more joy against than the very tricky run of recent fixtures they've had. Indeed, including this game that we're watching now, 5 of their last 6 matches have been against the current WSL top 4. The 3-2 loss at Everton on the 12th of March, the only one that wasn't. Here comes Ruby Mace. Helped on by Hemp, round the corner. And Hemp just nicks it away from Plumpter. Referee Sanders says no free kick. It's a really good pass from Ruby Mace forward there. Mace is one to keep a very close eye on. Player that genuinely, from speaking to various people across the women's game, has got a very, very big career ahead of her. I know that quite a lot of people at Arsenal were very disappointed to lose her last summer. Just 18 years old. Don't mean to make anybody feel old, but she was born on the 5th of September 2003. As Mace is only 18 now. Wins that one against Bailey Gale. And does well. Uses her strength. Joe Montemurro, Mace's former boss at Arsenal, said that he was very disappointed for Arsenal to lose her. Said she's got raw talent, someone that has all the elements physically, technically and tactically. Real belief as well. Has all the tools and will have a very good career. Of course, both of them in different ways departing Arsenal last summer. Montemurro leaving and ending up at Juventus, and Mace signing a professional contract with Manchester City. Weir. Now Bronze. Weir again. Shaw. Shaw on the turn. Chance to strike one from Angeldal. Just over the bar from Philippa Angeldal. We have already seen Julie Blackstad get her first goal for Manchester City today. Philippa Angeldal looking to open her account in the WSL. She has scored a couple of times in the FA Cup and once in the Conti Cup before for Manchester City. Joined after spending the 2021 season at BK Häcken. Mangoldal will be an important part of the Sweden squad for this summer. Women's Euros, of course, happening in the UK. You can get your tickets, they're out now, and there will be some games here at the Academy Stadium, which has been something of a note of a bit of controversy as well, and nothing necessarily particularly to do with Manchester City, of course, but tournament's organisers have had to end up defending the use of the Academy Stadium amid criticism from Icelandic midfielder Sara Björk Gunnarsdóttir, who described it as an embarrassing venue and felt that it was a training ground. It was a response from the tournament saying that they would stick by it. Iceland, of course, will play a couple of games here. Gunnarsdóttir had branded the venue as disrespectful to women's football. There will only be 4,700 allowed in the stadium for games at the Euros due to UEFA's tournament rules not allowing standing terraces to be used, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame because for a game like this we're watching now, the Academy Stadium can accommodate 7,000 due to those terraces being in use. Iceland facing Belgium and Italy here in July. It is the tournament's smallest ground. Gunnarsdóttir making those comments when speaking to Their Pitch podcast, which only started in January, but is well worth a listen for hearing from some of the biggest names across the women's game. 8 games already sold out at the Women's Euros now, and plenty more will be selling out pretty soon as well. Spokesperson for Euro 2022 on the note of things said that this venue's been used previously for UEFA Women's Champions League games and will generate a great atmosphere worthy of a Women's Euros. As Howard nearly ends up scoring an own goal. Just about scrambled clear by De Graaf with Hemp in attendance. City looking for number 5, Stanway. Stanway, not far away at all. Georgia Stanway looking to extend City's advantage over their Manchester rivals in terms of the goal difference gap in the race for third. Just dragged it wide, not far away at all. Elsewhere, almost into stoppage time in Berkshire. West Ham United have got the comfort of a 2-goal cushion now. Hasegawa scoring the second moments ago. Kelly's ball in. Comes out for Weir. We've got an injury here in that series of collisions in the box from the corner. So many players bundled together. Looks to be Sophie Howard, the Scottish centre-back, who's gone down. Howard, who was born in Germany, joined Leicester this summer. Once of Reading and also has previously been at Hoffenheim. Played at the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. And before that at the 2017 UEFA European Women's Under-17 Championships. Howard known for her toughness, the stereotypical centre-half in that regard, so it will take a lot for her to come off here. Just holding her neck though. Does look to be in some serious discomfort here, Sophie Howard. Have already made 3 changes, with Connie Schofield coming on for her Leicester City debut. Paige Bailey-Gale and captain Sophie Barker have also come off the bench thus far. means they do only actually have 3 outfield players left on the bench. Georgia Broom would be the obvious like for like in terms of defender for defender. Centre back for centre back. Bronze just dinks one forward and heads it back towards goal. Shaw up against Plumpter. That's good defending again from Ashley Plumpter, and what's been a difficult day for the Leicester City back line. Plumpter has probably seemed like the one that has impressed the most. Slightly mishit by Bronze. It will still run for Stokes. Now Bronze, deflected cross, and it was awkward for Lambourne. That was looping in. One of those freak goals potentially this. Lovely pick out from Stanway. Great use of the wing mirrors to spot the run of Bronze. For Leicester City, attention will turn towards those last 2 games. Lydia Bedford even said before this one, from our perspective, we definitely see the Reading and Spurs games as the 2 that we'll really target to get points from. It's still firmly in our hands. And we know we've got a very tough opponent this weekend, and so it has proved. Bedford did also say we expect them to have a lot of the ball, but we're looking to continue to work on our shape and resilience. Look to stay in games for longer. See how we can hurt teams when we pinch the ball back. And you would say that's one thing that you'll still be thinking about a fair bit after today, because the rare times that Leicester City have had the ball, they haven't had the ball for long. They've only had 1 shot on Ellie Roebuck's goal all game, which came from a free kick. Really good cross in and goes through everybody. Again, almost number 5 for Manchester City, who are in no mood to settle for 4. And even the pace of Hemp couldn't get her there at the far post. All the pressure will go onto the red side of Manchester in action later today against Aston Villa. It's been a really strange season for Manchester City. It's almost gone with the English weather. It was pretty poor in the first half of the season. Anyone who's been in Manchester in September through to mid-November will know it's not exactly known for being seasonally warm. And then as we've got closer and closer to the optimism of spring sunshine and players have come back from injury, things have got better and better for Manchester City. Hemp briefly down there, thankfully back to her feet. Lauren Hemp 3rd for chances created in open play in the WSL this season. Only Beth Mead and Fran Kirby have more. And only behind Beth Mead and Gura Wrighton in terms of the expected assist tally, and there'll be only more to add from that today. Kelly cutting in, Kelly to have a go. Deflects wide, corner to Manchester City into stoppage time as they try and pile on some more pain. 3 minutes added on here. Can they get a 5th? Could be all important in that hunt for 3rd with the goal difference. Nodded over the bar this time. Of course, once Manchester City get 3rd, if they manage to do so, I want to desperately avoid what they did this season, where they went out in the Champions League without even making it through to the group stage. They lost in the qualifying 2nd round against relatively newly formed Real Madrid, 2-1 on aggregate. 1-1 draw away from home, but then 1-0 loss here on the 8th of September meant they were knocked out. Had to watch on enviously as English rivals Chelsea and Arsenal got to play in the Champions League group stage proper. Of course, Chelsea out in the group stage, and Arsenal were knocked out by Wolfsburg in the quarter-finals, which suggests that certainly on the continent there's a lot more work for English clubs to do. Arsenal winning what is now the Champions League. What was then the European Cup back in 2007, the only team to have ever won it that is an English side. I know that's a big ambition they've got here at City. That will be the next surge forward in their development, they hope. Angeldal tried to get it through for Weir. Stokes. Remember, a goal here would take them 2 ahead of Manchester United on goal difference. In that fight for third, remember also that Manchester United do have to go away to Chelsea on the final day. As Bronze fizzes a cross in. That's the exact kind of cross you want to get in when you've got Khadija Bunny Shaw in there, but Bunny Shaw wasn't quite in the right place for that one, and it was struck with a lot of power by Bronze. Really nice feature you might have seen at half-time from Khadija Bunny Shaw, the Big Little interview with Priya Brookwell. What a feature we've been doing across Barclays WSL social channels. Well worth going and having a look if you've got a moment. A nice bit of fun as little and large meet to have a chat about all things football and life. Stanway. Stanway round the corner. Hemp, who switched flanks, dinks one in. Lambourg came and didn't get there. And Sophie Howard bailed her goalkeeper out. And that will be that here at the Academy Stadium. An emphatic performance from Manchester City, who now have 10 straight wins in all competitions. Going back to mid-February, the blue moon is certainly rising. And all the pressure is now on the red side of Manchester, as Manchester City head into third above their arch-rivals Manchester United on goal difference now, with Mark Skinner's Red Devils playing later on today away at Aston Villa. As for Leicester City, they remain 4 points above bottom club Birmingham City, who won yesterday, not able to stretch that gap here. They'll host Reading next week, knowing that at the very least survival does remain in their own hands, despite Birmingham City being at 4 points behind now, and with a game in hand on them as well. 5 straight losses in the WSL for Lydia Bedford's side, 6 in all competitions. And once again, it's not just a defeat, but a heavy one for the Foxes. Thank you very much for your company. It's finished here at the Academy Stadium. Manchester City 4, Leicester City 0.